By Worldwide News, May 25, 2025. Today marks 5 years since the world watched the final moments of George Floyd's life beneath the knee of a Minneapolis police officer. His words, "I can't breathe," became a rallying cry echoed across continents, sparking one of the largest civil rights movements in history. But half a decade later, Americans are asking, has the nation truly changed, or has it merely moved on? Across the country, commemorations took place to honor Floyd's memory. Minneapolis hosted the Rise and Remember Festival at George Floyd Square, an intersection-turned memorial that has become both sacred ground and social flashpoint. Gospel choirs sang, candles were lit, and community healing was the focus. In Houston, Floyd's hometown, memorial services and cultural events celebrated his life while renewing calls for racial equity. These events were not just rituals of mourning, they were demands for accountability and a sober look at the promises made in the wake of Floyd's death. What changed, and what didn't? In 2020, the world erupted. Protests filled the streets in over 60 countries. Governments pledged reforms, corporations scrambled to showcase diversity initiatives, and public discourse around police brutality became unavoidable. For a moment, change felt tangible. And some progress was made. Several U.S. cities enacted new police protocols, implemented civilian review boards, and increased body camera usage. Companies invested in anti-racism training and diversity hiring. Books on race topped bestseller lists, and public figures acknowledged systemic injustice more openly than ever before. But beneath the surface, the momentum has faded. The George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, intended to ban chokeholds, end qualified immunity, and overhaul federal law enforcement standards, stalled in Congress. Across many police departments, meaningful transformation remains elusive. In some communities, funding for reform initiatives has been quietly slashed. The sense of urgency has waned. And so, the system remains largely unchanged. The battle for memory and meaning, even remembrance, has become contested. In Minneapolis, debate continues over whether George Floyd Square should be permanently preserved or reopened to vehicle traffic. In Houston, the recent demolition of a mural honoring Floyd has sparked outrage, viewed by many as an attempt to erase cultural memory. These aren't minor debates, they reflect a deeper tension: who owns the narrative? Is George Floyd remembered as a symbol of structural injustice, or just a tragic individual case? Is his death a catalyst for ongoing change, or a chapter the nation would rather close? In Washington, D.C., the recent Time Impact Dinner gathered leaders, activists, and scholars to reflect on these very questions. Their message was clear: the road to justice is long, unfinished, and not guaranteed. The stakes are still high today. Black Americans continue to face disproportionate rates of police violence, economic hardship, and systemic exclusion. According to recent reports, black drivers are still more likely to be pulled over. Black families are still more likely to live in underfunded school districts. Black workers still earn less for the same labor. George Floyd's death exposed these patterns. But exposing a problem is not the same as solving it. The hard truth is that many institutions used the moment of 2020 to save face, not to reform. Statements were made. Donations were given. But deep structural changes, redistributing power, dismantling racism, and holding systems accountable, require more than tweets and training sessions. They require courage and commitment. A nation at the crossroads. Today's commemorations are a test of memory and willpower. The presence of festivals and vigils across cities is powerful, but they must translate into sustained pressure, policy shifts, and public resolve. George Floyd's legacy cannot be defined by murals alone. It must be measured by measurable outcomes: fewer deaths at the hands of police, greater economic equity, and a justice system that treats all Americans equally. Conclusion: will we keep listening? George Floyd's murder was a mirror to America, forcing the nation to confront its long-ignored truths. But mirrors only show the truth, they do not change it. As the candles are blown out and the events conclude, the question remains: will America continue the hard work of justice, or will it retreat into silence? Because the world heard George Floyd's last words. The question is, what did we do with them?